The following is a production of the Lance J Radio Network and Best in the World Sports, a division of Definitive Visions Multimedia. The opinions and views expressed are strictly those of the host and do not represent the views of Lance J Radio Network.
You're listening to Jonesy and Brown.
Both you are crazy.
With Mike Jones and John Brown.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the world famous Jonesy and Brown show. By my side, as he is every week or so whenever we do a podcast, this is my man Mike Jones. Mike, what's good?
Oh man, I'm wonderful out here. Phillies won the division. Eagles are 2-0.
Won the division.
Life is good.
Won the division and won the hangover game, which always gets them, which always gets them caught up. Now look. This is kind of like LA week. Phillies played the Dodgers this week. Mm-hmm. This weekend, the Eagles host the LA Rams. So as you know, if you are a follower of the Jonesy and Brown show, when something happens with us and the city of Los Angeles, there's one person that we call from Spectrum One News in Southern California. Ladies and gentlemen, our good friend, former host of the Best in the World Sports Report and the world famous Brothers Talking Pucks podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, it's our good friend Timothy Mario Parker. Yes, I've used his whole government name.
My government, yes.
Use his whole government name. I used the name his mama gave him. Yes. What is happening, sir?
What's up, man? So I it's funny, you like kind of encapsulated my life all in the intro. So we just found out, like literally 5 minutes ago, that Anze Kopitar, the LA Kings captain, is retiring at the end of the season. So that's nothing to do with anything we want to talk about, but Brothers Talking Pucks, that's of note. And then I was at the first two games of the Phillies Dodgers series this week. The first night I was there as a media member. So I was in the clubhouse for the celebration. So as a Philadelphia sports fan, that was very cool, even though I could not take part in the celebration because I'm a journalist. But on night two, I went as a fan. I had my Phillies gear on, all that good stuff. Nice. But it was crazy because Ohtani was throwing a no-hitter. So at that point, I'm like, all right, well, the Phillies take the L. We won a division. Let me see a no-hitter. And then Dave Roberts takes him out. And then the Phillies persist to score 50 runs. I'm like, all right, this is great. Like, whatever.
Man, first of all, I feel like the Phillies kind of have this history now. When with this team, when they have success, whether it's clinching a playoff spot or clinching the division, they'll go out and they'll celebrate hard. They'll party hard in the locker room. And it just look crazy.
My suit jacket still has beer on it.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, you might. That jacket's for the streets, man. You can't wear that jacket again. But it's like they party hard and then they go out and get cooked the very next night. It's like clockwork. So
Dave Roberts gave him a mulligan.
I didn't even watch game 2. Because I saw how they partied at game 1. And then when I saw that they were getting no hit, I'm Ohtani's on. They ain't getting no hits. Yeah, this game is an L. They might as well just chalk it up for tomorrow. Come back to tomorrow.
Being on the East Coast, I see 4-0 Dodgers early. Ohtani's throwing a no-hitter. I'm going to bed.
Yeah.
I'm not staying up till 12:31 in the morning
to watch the Phillies get no hit.
So to wake up and find out he was pulled from the game, and we immediately proceeded to score 5-6 runs in the next inning.
Man,
I was dumbstruck. Like, what's going on? Like, was he at his pitch limit or just?
Yeah, so it wasn't really a pitch limit. It's stupid because I think he's pitched more pitches than that, but they agreed that he wasn't going to go past 5. So after the 5th inning, it was decided upon between the GM, Dave Roberts, and even Ohtani that was it. Like, I think if it was the playoff game, it would be different. But I don't even know if he's going to start in the playoffs. I think they might just. There's talks that he might close. There's talks that he might come out of the bullpen. But if you take him out of the bullpen, there's a chance you lose his bat. So I think he'll either be a starter or a closer. But in this particular game, I think they said 5 innings. That's it. But the fans were booing because they knew it was only at 68 pitches. I think he had as high as was like 80 something this year. So we all thought, oh, well, he's coming back out for the 6th. Nope. It was like I was in Philly the way the Bulls were coming down on Dave Roberts, bro.
Now, here in Philly, and you know because you follow the team, fans have kind of a love-hate relationship with Rob Thompson.
Really? I didn't know that. Well, I guess it's kind of the same. I guess it's kind of the same thing with Dave Roberts too. I mean,
that was my question. Like, how do LA fans feel about him?
I think winning 2 championships, but winning 2 championships really helps, obviously, right? But you got to think about all the times that he did win with the rosters he's had. So I don't think you can argue with 2 championships, but I don't think Philly. If Dave Roberts was in Philly or Clayton Kershaw was in Philly, first of all, I don't think Clayton Kershaw ever gets a chance to get 2 rings because I think he would have been gone out of Philly after that 2019 implosion because he's imploded in the playoffs. At some point, it becomes too ferocious in Philly if you keep imploding in the playoffs. I think, but LA is a little different. And as much heat as Dave Roberts has taken, I mean, you can't argue he's won 2 championships, although he should have more. And I think the cheating scandal with the Astros and the Red Sox kind of give him a mulligan too. Same thing with Kershaw. So it's a love-hate relationship with Roberts, man. Like, because Roberts is a good dude in general, but I don't know. Like, you take Ohtani, Shohei Ohtani out when he's doing a no-hitter, that don't fly in Philadelphia. They wouldn't fly in Philly.
No. And it's like, I guess in Philly, it's like it's hot and cold. You know, when they're winning, people are pretty much ready to lay off of him. But when the Phillies lose, and you see it now because the Phillies are in the first place. They've already clinched their division.
The first team in baseball to clinch.
Exactly. So but when they're down, it's like you would think that this is the Marlins or the Nationals or something. When the Phillies lose, they're ready. The pitchforks are out. So I'm just wondering,
it's not that bad here with the pitchforks, but I mean, there's not a lot of love lost for Dave Roberts. I think that what's strangely enough, I was talking about Kershaw as much as Kershaw has imploded over the years in the playoffs, the fans love him. He's endeared. Roberts is not endeared, but he's not hated either. It's just not as close as to somebody being under heat as you can be in LA. Dave Roberts is that, but he won the world. I think last year bought him another 5 or 6 years. Mm-hmm. He won the World Series the way they did it because the pitching staff. It's the opposite of what it is now. They basically won the World Series based on their bullpen last year. And this year, their starting pitching is starting to get back to what it should be, but the bullpen is terrible. So it'll be interesting to see how they manage this postseason. And I'm hoping to come home for that NLDS. If the Phillies take care of business and the Dodgers take care of business, I hope I get my Philly-LA series.
Well, there you go, you know.
So how much... So looking at it like that, does it feel like there's almost like the pressure off the Dodgers going into the playoffs this year? Like they could just relax and play? Or is it like it would be in Philly where you better win?
I feel like the pressure is less in Philly if you win. You know, like, because the Dodgers, like, we know we're gonna be back here next year. You know, Philly, it's not the same. Like, they don't have, you know, that Magic Johnson money or whatever. I told John Middleton has been spending money, but at some point, like this year, I was listening to WIP actually a few days ago. It was after they clinched, and they were like, "Well, John Middleton has spent money, but like, I don't think he's going to keep spending the money like this." Whereas LA, you're going to keep spending the money. So in Philly, this has to be the year. Where in LA, we got Ohtani for 10 years. We can sign anybody. They can trade you. Like the Dodgers will perpetually be a contender. The Phillies have a cap on it. And it's whenever Harper, Schwarber, if they resign him, all those questions are there. This could be it. The Dodgers, you got another 7-year window.
So they're like the George Steinbrenner Yankees type of
it's pretty much what it is, the perpetual contenders.
Well, I hear you on that. Well, look, let's switch gears. Let's talk a little pigskin for a couple of minutes while we got you. Eagles, Rams. So you say you want to come out here for that Phillies series, so that means you're not going to be coming out here for the Rams?
No, I'm not coming. I didn't come out for the snow game last year. However, I kind of was upset the way the seedings went because I would have come out for the NFC Championship game, but I wasn't coming out for the divisional game. Actually, it was pretty weird for me watching that game because as a Philadelphia sports fan, but as a LA journalist, I was thinking, well, if the Eagles win, I had to pay money to go see them to play. If the Rams would have won, I would have had an NFC Championship game, LA, where I'm getting paid to be at the NFC Championship game. So I had conflicted emotions because I flew home. I ended up flying home for the NFC Championship game. I paid like a lot of money, but I would have been making money had the Rams would have. But in
the end, the Eagles won, so it made it all good, though, right?
I guess, but my pockets were like a lot lighter when I could have had fat pockets, But I'm okay. I'm happy. There was a win. This is all a win-win for me.
Mm-hmm.
It's all a win-win.
All right. Well, help us make out help us make out the Rams, because I feel like once upon a time they were a team really that was built to win. Now they won, and you kind of thought there was going to be a huge like a tail off, like coming back to earth. But there they are in the divisional round with a chance to win. The Eagles pulled away in the game last year, but still, that was for a while that game was competitive. Like what to make. I'm not sure what to make of the Rams.
What to make of the Rams? I think the Rams are outside of the Packers. Well, let me say this. Before the season began, I thought the Rams, well, I'll just say what my prediction was and is. I predict the Rams to go to the Super Bowl, and I picked them over the Eagles in the NFC Championship game this year. And the reason why I said that is because the Rams got better. They got Devontae Adams. Basically, you replace Cooper Kupp with a better receiver in Devontae Adams. And their schedule is not hard. Eagles have a gauntlet to get through. So Eagles are going to play good football. The Eagles are going to be there. They're not quality. You can say maybe the secondary is a little bit lighter without Slay, but the Eagles are still what they are. Like this is pretty much the same team. They didn't get better. It's the same team. Plus the schedule is harder. So that means I have them down for even if they win on Sunday, I have them down for less wins this year, which means the Rams, if they do what I expect them to do, would host the NFC Championship game. And I think the Rams, without the snow, beat them. I don't think the Rams win on Sunday, though. I think the Eagles are still in that championship form, and the Rams are still building. Young players on defense. They have Jared Verse, obviously a star on defense, star defender over there for them. Still young secondary for the Rams. But their defense kind of is their backbone. The Rams play really good complementary football. When the defense makes a great play, the offense strikes and scores and do what they need to do. Like they beat the Texans 14-9. Now the Texans have a good defense, so what could you really say? That's a game where you really don't know. It's the first game of the season, and then this week they took care of the Titans like they should have. They blew them out. The offense was good. This is going to be a good test for both teams, I think. I think the Eagles will win, but I think the Rams are not far off. And then if this was at SoFi, I would have the Rams winning.
So last year, these two teams played twice. And in those matchups, Saquon was able to do some very Saquon things.
Yes.
And
yes. I was at the game in LA.
And as talented as the Rams defense is, it seems like they struggled with the sheer size and athleticism of the Eagles' offensive line. How do you think they adjust for that and attack that this year?
I don't know. I think this is how. I think the answer to that is 8 in the box, and let Dallas Goedert go crazy. I mean, I think that's like I'm not. You can't let Devontae and AJ go crazy. So if I'm the Rams, I'm going to put 8 in the box. Dallas Goedert, you got it. You can nickel and dime your way down the field, and let's see what happens in the red zone. And to me, that's how I look at it. That's the only because Saquon's. What you going to do?
That's a scary thing because you say, all right, put 8 in the box. We'll let Dallas Goedert do his thing. We'll let see if they dink and dunk, and kind of inch their way through. But we just got through a week where the entire league is in turmoil because of this terrible tush-push play that's ruining football. And I feel like if that is going to be the Rams' strategy, that's going to lead to more opportunities. You're going to see more of it this upcoming week. Have they talked about tush push, brotherly shove, whatever they call it in LA, and how do the Rams stop that?
You don't stop it, but I think Tom Brady just screwed the Eagles though, because the issue is now, are they doing it legally? As long as because the question you could ask. If they were offsides, or if they false started 7 times, could they actually convert the play as much as they successfully do if they aren't doing it without penalties? Like if they play clean, is the tush push as effective? Does it go from 98% to 88%? You know what I'm saying? Like I still think they're the masters at it, and I think most teams in general are pretty good at quarterback sneaks. So it's going to be a high percentage rate no matter what, but 98% is insane. So I think there's going to be eyeballs. And I think the Rams were one of the teams that were against it in general in the owners' meeting. So I'm sure this is going to be a big test for the tush push, particularly after the Brady scrutiny on Sunday.
Well, after this Sunday, let's be honest, the false start thing, that was a real thing against the Chiefs.
That's a problem. You got exposed.
Tyler Steen specifically was going early at that right guard position multiple times, and they have to clean that up because if the ref decides to blow the whistle, there's nothing we can really argue on that.
And the ball's over the line too. The ball, like, how's the ball over the line of the game? Like, come on, like, what are we doing? Like,
we see centers adjust that ball all the time. I'm not going to harp on that one too much. Almost every center tries to scoot the ball a little forward every time. So, that's just that gamesmanship. But the false start, that's a real problem that we do have to clean that up. And I expect our own O-line coach to be Jeff Stoutland to be on top of that this week in practice.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at the clock. I know we got to get you out of here soon. How do you see this week's game playing out?
I think the Eagles show championship fortitude. I think the Rams hit them for some big plays, which is going to be pretty scary. I think the Rams hit them down the field because the Rams are one of the best teams in the NFL in the early going with big plays. I think there's going to be a lot of gashes for like 30, 40 yards, leading to some big drives. So I see the Rams scoring points, but I don't think it'll be consistent points. But when they do, it's going to be big in big doses. So I'll say 24 points. Can the Eagles get to 27? I think that's like what was the final against the Cowboys? It was similar. What was the final?
24-21.
Yeah, the Eagles really haven't had to put up points yet. I think this is a game they'll have to put up points, and I'll go Josh Elliott. I go Elliott wins. Jake Elliott, forgive me. I'm sorry. I'm thinking about the news anchor. Jake Elliott wins for the Eagles. 27-24 is my final.
27-24. I hear you, man. All right, real quick, man. How can people reach you? How can people get in contact with you?
Timothy Parker TV on X, on Instagram. Follow me. I don't know what my TikTok is, but X and Instagram is Timothy Parker TV. Y'all catch me out there, man, and hopefully I'll be home for some Red October. And if the Dodgers take care of business, I'll be there home for Red October and October 4th. 3rd.
Oh man, that's gonna be all right, man. Because I haven't hung out with you in a long time, man. Back in the day, you know, Tim and I used to work together at Comcast Sportsnet, and he'd jump in the car with me, and we'd drive home and do Best in the World that afternoon, after the morning show. After we did Breakfast on Broad, and he'd jump in the car with me. We drive home. The
Emmy award-winning Breakfast on Broad, and let me say that show could have had so much more potential if it was on regular Comcast Sportsnet. It's like putting First Take on ESPNU.
Man, and I see you about to start something. I'm not going to take the bait, but I will say this, man. Okay. You're absolutely right about that. And do you remember that week they did try to put us on Comcast Sportsnet?
Did the ratings soar?
We did good ratings, but it was a terrible week in sports. That they moved us to the Comcast Sportsnet, and that Monday they were going to do it for a whole week. And that Monday, Ed Snyder died.
Yeah.
And that set the tone. Right. That set the tone for the whole week.
It wasn't a true show. What we do, yeah. We had depression on Broad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Saddest week of the sports year. And then you think about all the sports that we covered when that show was on the air.
Bad. They were all bad.
They were all
total opposite yeah.
That was the beginning of the process.
Sam Bradford. Are you kidding? Like Sam, like, oh my God. Mark Sanchez.
The beginning of the process. That was the after the playoff Chip Kelly. That was the late great Ryan Sandberg Phillies. And the Craig Berube,
Michael Franco was the next thing. Michael Franco was the next greatest thing since sliced bread.
Michael Franco, man.
Yeah, it was rough, man.
You might as well have said John Mayberry or Don Brown.
The best things going in sports was the Taney Dragons with Monet Davis and Villanova. That's all we had.
Yeah.
That's all we had. Tim Parker has been great talking to you, good brother, man.
Appreciate it, y'all.
Appreciate your time.
Yo, thank you for taking the time out and hollering at us, spending a couple minutes with us, man. We appreciate you, brother.
Absolutely.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, once again, from Spectrum News 1 in Southern California, that is my man, Tim Parker, man. Always good to talk to him, man.
Oh, yeah, good stuff. Too bad, he's got the weather out there at least to enjoy it. Too bad they had to deal with Philly all week, but he's got the weather.
Yeah, I'm sure they hating us They hating us out there right now.
Like last weekend was a rough weekend for Kansas City. This week's a rough week for LA.
Hey, look, somebody's got to lose these games, and just hopefully it's not us.
Like, who's scheduling this stuff? Did you notice that last weekend we had a series with Kansas City Royals and the Phillies, and the Eagles had the Chiefs. And
they're trying to make it easy for these sports departments, so they don't have to do a lot of traveling. And you can interact with the same person. Even us as podcasters, we could talk to one guy about two different sports and two different teams.
Exactly.
Yeah, it is what it is. Mike Jones, this week we're going into week 3 of the NFL season. How you feeling?
I mean, Eagles are undefeated, so I feel good-ish.
Did you say good-ish? Good-ish.
That's some good ish, Mike.
Exactly. Well, you hear that man's voice. You hear the voice, and you know it's about that time of year. We got the week 3, so I'm sure there are people who, you know, the long time followers of Jonesy and Brown, both of them are asking, "Hey, man." Hey, when are y'all going to get Geoff Mosher on the show? Because he comes on, he helps us break down the Eagles season every year. And look, we finally got him to return our phone calls, ladies and gentlemen, from inside the birds, from, man, he's got like 37,000 different jobs. But he's here with us this weekend. Geoff Mosher, what's happening, good brother?
It's always great to be on with you fellas. Now, you guys put me in a bad trap. I just now this year realized it because I come on with you guys every year. And you have me come on in the first few weeks of the season.
Yes.
And every year in the first few weeks of the season, the Eagles either look like crap like last year in the first 4 weeks, or like this year, they just don't look good, but yet they're 2-0. And so I got to come in here and be like, yeah, but, and yeah. And why don't you ever have me on in November when the Eagles have won like 9 out of 10? Right?
Because you're way too busy at that point. Now, at that point, once they get into the season, I'm like, hey, Geoff, you know, look, I understand there's a lot of stories going around. This person seems to be unhappy. This person's mad or whatever. Hey, you got some time for Jonesy and Brown? And like, yeah, you know.
You know,
So
the inevitable like AJ Brown comment to the media that you're going to have to write a story about.
That was last year at this time that you had me on.
Exactly. Well, look, man, there's a lot of football going on, you know, and you talked about the Eagles coming out the gate once again, 2-0. But I wanted to start with this quick question, and because I also know you're a Penn State guy.
Okay.
What undefeated team do you feel has the most to worry about in the future? The Eagles or Penn State?
The immediate future or like past?
Both.
This year? Oh man. Well, that's a tougher question than I thought. I mean, Penn State's looked all right. They just had last year they had a bad game against Bowling Green. Everybody panicked. They were in the Final Four. This year they have a bad game against who did they play last week?
They played Villanova last week.
No. Villanova, they were good. The week before as
well. Florida International.
That's the one. Yeah, FIU. Where they were like, everybody's like, well, what's going on there? You don't look so good. But Penn State got a lot of talent. They should be fine. They don't have to play Michigan. The Eagles do have to play all the good teams to get to the Super Bowl. So I would probably say I'd be more worried about the Eagles than Penn State.
All right, so the Saturday game against Oregon doesn't scare you?
No.
Okay.
No.
Got Oregon and they got
James Franklin only loses to 2 teams, my friend, and one of them ain't on the schedule.
Michigan and Ohio State.
Exactly.
Everybody else.
That's right.
All right. Well, look, let's jump back into the Eagles, man. Once again, 2-0. And I guess I'm afraid of deja vu because
explain.
I feel we've been here before a couple of years ago. Team comes out, starts out with a bunch of wins. But there's something about these wins that don't sit right. You know, there's something about and you're sitting there and you're kind of balancing. Hey, how much can we complain when this team is winning games?
Right, but that's really never stopped anybody.
No, of course not. Of course not. And now you're sitting.
Me.
Well, of course, it's never stopped you. You know,
which one of you two is the more negative one?
Right now, JB.
It's got to be Jonesy, right?
Normally it's me.
That's
right now. I'd say it's JB.
Nah. I'm always glad. You know, look, I'm always glass half full, man.
Okay.
The reason I say that is because right now I'm looking at this like as opposed to 23 when they had the collapse. That was Jalen Hurts throwing the ball at a higher volume.
Yeah,
the team had a higher propensity for turnovers. And a defense that was
They've learned so much from that year. You're right, Joe.
That defense,
they're not going to go back to that style
Right.
of play.
Mhm.
Right. And
so where they are now, like this defense, it's still like it's a work in progress, but you don't look at them and see them as being sweet up the middle. Like that 23 defense, the middle of the field was just a liability.
Oh
yeah. And not to mention, so was the secondary. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, that's they start Justin Evans at safety, the guy who was always hurt from the Saints, and they started their corners where Slay was good, but Bradbury was exposed for not having a great pass rush that year.
Maddox was
Bradley
injured.
Roby, I mean, they were running veterans in and out of there. Yeah, that was.
So when I say the middle of the field, I'm talking slot corner, linebackers, safeties, like just straight up the middle of the field. It was a problem.
Yeah,
This team, I just think they get the timing on the passing game, which we've seen they have potential to do.
Right.
It's just a matter of how consistently they do it.
Yeah, that team, the dam. We all remember the dam breaking in those final 2 minutes against Seattle. And then, it really broke a week before against the Niners, who just completely manhandled them. But, you tried to cough that up as one game, and then the Seattle collapse happened, and that led to everything. But this defense is so much better. Not even from a talent perspective, but also from a coaching perspective, and much more equipped. So do I think that the Eagles are going to have to play a lot of gutted out, grinded out games this year because the schedule's really tough? Yeah. Are they going to win more than they lose? Most likely because of that. And the difference also, guys, I think is if Patullo's really, struggling to unlock the offense. And let me just let me get it out right now before you guys ask and before your listeners wonder. All right. No one's going to, it doesn't matter what I say because people are going to think what they think anyway. I've watched the tape of both games, offense, defense, right? The Eagles are not calling different plays. They're not running different route designs. And the reason is because A, Patullo's been there the whole time, right? And B, because every coordinator who has come to the Eagles in this era has realized that there are strengths and weaknesses to what Jalen Hurts does. And that's not a knock. Every quarterback has strengths and weaknesses, right? And they understand how to cater to those strengths. He's going to throw a great deep ball outside the numbers when teams blitz him, right? He's going to throw an accurate ball to A.J. Brown on an in-breaker, right on a 3-step drop. And so they design offenses that way, whether it was Kellen, who did a lot of stuff last year that he didn't do with Dallas in L.A., going back to Steichen, and now Patullo. So I know everybody's like, oh, man, it must be the new play caller for the – no. It's not. I'm not saying he's perfect, and he has to learn and grow and adapt too, and I'm sure he will. But anybody who thinks this offense looks radically different from a design or a play calling standpoint is just yelling at the TV because they're mad and they don't have the information. So it's the same offense. But to your guys' point, why I don't think 2023 can repeat is because in 2023, when things were going haywire and they needed to stabilize, there was no 26 to hand the ball to stabilize the offense. Now there is. The only thing that's been missing from this offense from 2 weeks that's different is that he has not hit a home run yet. And hey, the Los Angeles Rams come to town on Sunday. Go watch the tape last year. And Jalen's only hit one home run that he normally hit. The one to Dotson in against the Cowboys, and then he finally got the one to Devontae in the fourth quarter. That's really the only thing I think that's different from last year to this year is the big play hasn't happened yet.
Do you feel like they're looking for the big play less, or has it just not been available?
So that's a great question. We have Greg Cosell on Inside the Birds with us to break down the All-22. And some of it is just like speculate. Like you watch the tape and you don't know what a guy is thinking.
Right.
He did feel like against the Chiefs that Hurts wasn't looking in the area that like a defense is going to dictate a lot of times where you want to go with the ball. And Hurts is good at that. That's not one of his. Not usually he knows exactly where he should. That's why his accuracy is so good because he really knows where the ball should go against certain looks, especially blitzes, right? But it just felt like so far he's been a little bit indecisive. We looked at one play where A.J. Brown has sort of got a step on that deep ball down the left sideline that he ordinarily throws, and he didn't throw it. And it was kind of surprising because he almost always throws it almost to a not to a detriment, but he we're talking about like 3rd and 8. Usually you don't get to see a guy throw the ball 40 yards down the field when it's 3rd and 8, but he will. He didn't remember the Commanders game in the NFC Championship game. It was like 3rd and 9 or something like that, and he threw that beautiful deep ball. So that might be something to monitor, Mike. To your question, is Hurts, is he cluttered in the head a little bit? Is he trying to do a little too much and not playing loose? Because again, everything else is similar about the design and the structure of the offense.
Well, so many people might say they might, as much as this is another variation of Nick Sirianni's offense. This is still another offensive coordinator. How much can you attribute to that? How much is that as big of a factor? Could that be part of the reason why he's had the struggles he's had coming out the gates?
Yeah, I think that it's possible, JB. I mean, like, I can tell you that the design of the plays are the same and the route concepts are the same, and that they're really trying to keep everything and grow from it. But, in the fourth quarter, when it's 3rd and 5, he still has to pick a play that he thinks is the best one, and that's on him, right? So, and again, he's only 2 games into that. So he might pick, the menu is the same menu, right? But next time around on 3rd and 5, he might pick a different play from that same menu, expecting something better to happen because it didn't happen the game before. And that's a live and learn type thing.
Oh, so something just popped in my head. I don't know, out of nowhere, other side of the ball, but I'm curious your thoughts on something. From where this team was, say, 2 years ago in 23 to looking at now Zach Bond, Jahad Campbell, Zach Bond getting paid, Jahad Campbell being drafted in the 1st round. You still have Nakobe Dean looking to come back from injury fairly soon, and even Trotter Jr. in the ranks. Howie or Vic, who's more responsible for this seemingly newfound emphasis on linebacker?
I might cheat and say both, although it might be a chicken or an egg thing. It may be that Howie saw what Vic did. I attribute the Zach Bond to Vic. Like, Howie would be the first to tell you. I mean, he signed him because they thought he could be a good special teamer, edge rusher, and good athlete. It's not like they paid him a crap load of money. They signed him to what you would expect of a guy who for 4 years was basically a special teamer. And, Vic thought, hey, maybe he's got, Vic did it with Van Ginkel down in Miami, right? And then he had a great year and then got a big contract in Minnesota. So at least you could say there's some foundation there if you're looking for who should get the credit. So obviously, even Vic will tell you, too, that he didn't see Zach Bond becoming an all-pro linebacker overnight, but it was his kind of idea to at least tinker with it. But after seeing that success, Howie then goes and one-ups everybody and goes, I'm going to draft a stacked linebacker in the 1st round for the first time since 1979 that we did that, right? And it's so funny. People didn't believe it because you remember when they drafted him, everybody's like, oh, no. He's actually an edge rusher who played this at Alabama he's going to go back to no, he's not an edge rusher right now. He is a stack linebacker who, like Bond, has the ability to come down and play on the edge situationally. But right now he's a stack linebacker. He's an off-ball linebacker who, like Fred Warner, can blitz but also can cover. And guess what? I hate to say this. I'm not trying to be cruel here. This is just the reality of the situation. You said Nakobe Dean's going to come back, right? He's going to come back, but he ain't going to be a starter.
He's a rotational guy at this point.
Is he? What package and down and distance are you taking Bond or Campbell off the field?
That's a good point. Unless you're planning to use one of them off the edge at some point.
Okay, then which one of Jalix Hunt, Nolan Smith, and Zadarius Smith who just bam throw him out there and he plays like lights out? Are you taking off the field to accommodate Nakobe Dean?
I hadn't thought that far ahead of it, but yeah, you're right.
I'm glad I don't have to, because Nakobe, what a story. Is a great dude. You feel terrible for him with the injuries. He was having an amazing year, but fellas, when a first round pick plays like a first round pick, you don't bench him.
You don't bench him.
Right.
When a $17 million a year, or no, it is even more than that now, whatever Vaughn's making per year, plays the way he's playing, you don't take him off the field.
No. Well, Jonesy and I, we've talked about this a couple of times, and he's referred to Howie Roseman as the cheat code. We've talked, when people try to discredit Jalen Hurts for having the stacked team that he has, it's like, no, it's Howie Roseman's the cheat code. Right. And honestly, just given what we just talked about, I find it kind of hard to argue that, especially when you look at how he drafted defensively at the top of his draft last year versus how he drafted at the top of his draft this year. Right. You're seeing a bunch of players that he brought in making instant impact.
Even Makuba made some plays this past week.
I'm looking at that like, okay, we had been wondering about who's going to be CB2 on this team, and I'm finding it hard not to say, hey, let's give it to the Rook.
Right. No, listen, I think that it's undeniable that the Eagles over the last 3 or 4 years have figured, Howie especially, has figured out the formula to draft better. And I don't want to say he still has a lot of he actually has a decent number of misses in free agency that kind of go under the radar. And it's not just like 6 years ago. I mean, it's as recently as last year with Bryce Huff, 2 years ago with Terrell Edmonds, this year with a couple of guys. I mean, Greedy Williams 2 years. I mean, you can go look, excuse me, at the linebackers, when he signed Devin White. Okay. Anybody in the NFL could have told you that Devin White was not a fit for Vic Fangio's system. Okay. He's not a disciplined linebacker. He's like an edge rusher who plays linebacker. Todd Bowles got the most out of him by blitzing him because he didn't want him covering. Vic doesn't blitz that much. I mean, judiciously, he blitzes like 20% of the time. And if he does it like what he did against Kansas City, everybody thinks he's Todd Bowles, but it really is just more than normal. But so my point is, how he makes mistakes, but he's done an excellent job of being so aggressive to compensate for them. I mean, look at that. He signs Adoree Jackson. Vic Fangio says in a press conference, I didn't even watch tape of the guy. Next thing you know, he's trading for Ja'Cory Bennett. Next thing, Azeez Ojulari's not cutting it. Next thing you know, he's signing Zadarius Smith. So he's very crafty. He's aggressive. I think it's cool that he's not afraid to admit when he makes his mistakes, and then he goes and makes a move to do it. And there's no doubt that the Eagles have won a lot of games the last 3 years because of their entire 53 being better than the team that they're playing, and because of the long-standing philosophy of building on the offensive line and defensive line and getting guys in those positions before you actually need them, so they're ready-made. Bam, Sayamalo goes down, Dickerson steps in, right? Somebody else goes down, Steen steps. Somebody else goes down, Juergens. You play right guard until we move you to center. That's been a formula to success that other teams just don't do.
Like Kelsey retires, you're not in a situation like Detroit where now you don't have a center. You had Juergens sitting there ready to go. And honestly, before that, Landon Dickerson was a center in college. There's he's always got somebody ready to go, it seems like. Yeah.
And you know what? To your guys' point on the stack, I find the argument to be sort of like almost disingenuous the way people. I mean that's everything on social media, but like is it really terrible to be the Troy Aikman or the Terry Bradshaw of your generation? I mean, those guys are Hall of Famers. I think we could all say they were really good quarterbacks. Did you ever say either one of them was the best or a top 3 quarterback of their time? No, because they weren't. But that doesn't mean they were bad. They weren't top 3, but they were good enough to be champions and know how to play the game, and top 6 or 7, if you want, of their generation. And that's okay. Like if Jalen Hurts wins another seat, Jalen Hurts may wear a gold jacket one day. And it doesn't matter if he wasn't considered as good as Mahomes or Josh Allen or Lamar. To me, it's fine. You're always going to have those kind of guys, and that's okay.
I'm not gonna lie, and this is probably my biggest old man yells at cloud moment as far as social media goes, because I feel like in these conversations, I feel like we have deprioritized winning. We want to say, 10 million conversations about who's the best, who do you want here, who do you want there, who's better than who. And at the end of the day, what do I want? I want a team that wins a championship.
Right.
Give me the guy that wins the championship. Having the guy that flings the ball all the way downfield and puts up a whole bunch of numbers, that's great. I want a championship. I don't want.
So I agree. Right. So we agree Eli Manning was a great quarterback who belongs in the Hall of Fame.
I won't argue against. I see 2 championships against Tom Brady.
But here's the funny thing. How many Eagles fans do you think believe that statement? How many Eagles fans do you think? And I'm not trying to pick on fans. I know the nature of the fan is to rep your own and be hypocritical until you die, right? Mm-hmm. But like when I bring up Joe Flacco, who went to the playoffs first 7 years of his career, went to a Super Bowl, won it, was the MVP, played lights out, and actually should have been to a second Super Bowl. I was at an AFC Championship game where he threw a pass to Lee Evans in the end zone against the Patriots that Evans dropped, or else they're in the Super Bowl, right? And who knows? They could win it that year. But if I say to some Eagles fans, I think Jalen's a lot like, Joe Flacco's early. It's like I'm a jerk and I'm disrespecting Joe Flacco. But I'm like, wait, he won.
Won. Yeah,
it's like one of the best parallels I can come up with. He was a winner. He won all the time on a great team.
It's so relative. You talk about Joe Flacco, but then you listen. But it's also you think about how people look at Joe Namath as well. Joe Flacco, Joe Namath. Hey man, Joe won. He went out against a team that people thought was unbeatable and predicted victory and won.
And backed it up, right? So I have no problem with either argument. Like he's the best or he's not. I just want people to be consistent with it. If you're the guy on social media saying Hurts is better than Mahomes out, and like his record against all the quarterbacks, even though a quarterback faces a defense, not another quarterback.
Exactly.
But if you're that guy, then you have to have Flacco and Aikman and Bradshaw, like those got to be your top 5 because they won more than Manning, they won more than Rodgers, right? If you're saying it's all about the wins, then tout those guys just as much. If you're not, then don't be a hypocrite and be like, well, Hurts is like the greatest thing ever. Those guys, they were a product of their environment. You can't have it both ways. That's all I'm saying.
I agree completely. And so, what was it? In 22 was the first year they went to the Super Bowl. I believe I said that season, I thought there were maybe in the league 7 to 10 quarterbacks that with that roster could be effective. And all of a sudden I'm a Jalen Hurts hater. I don't think he's good. 7 to 10, that seems of 30 jobs
so
in the
world. You're saying he's a top 7 quarterback.
Like, I'm saying you're top 10, maybe 7.
It's a big cup of hatery right next to his microphone right now.
Exactly.
A big
That's
giant.
what I got for saying that.
Yes, that was me. I will admit it. I'm the one who said that Jonesy was a hater.
Oh, okay. That was I had a feeling there was some shade being thrown here.
No, that was me. I'll admit it.
Well, I will. Let's be fair though. That year, to your point, JB, he didn't have bad games that year. He was throwing the ball all over the place. Mm-hmm. If his career had been like that, or if he had games all the time like that, then there would be an argument to be made. But he does not. I mean, that's the reality. The league, that was a very RPO centric year. The league kind of caught on to that. The refs cracked down on the illegal man downfields. That changed how often you wanted to run those kind of plays, and reality set in a little bit.
Exactly. So that's all I'm saying. Like, Hurts is good. I don't necessarily want to say he's elite, a word I think people throw around a little too much these days. Like,
agreed.
I agree.
I mean, by my definition, you'll never have more than 3 elite quarterbacks in the league. That's your top 10%.
You have said before that as of right now, and there's one elite quarterback in the league right now, and
I might give you 2 with Josh Allen.
And this team lost to the Eagles yesterday. There's one elite quarterback
with the way Josh Allen's been playing lately, but
I think I would throw Lamar. I think Lamar, Mahomes, and Allen are my 3 sort of elite, and I feel like there are times I've thought I could put Burrow in there, but he doesn't stay healthy enough, and they have it. So I'm fine with just leaving it at those 3, and then like doing the blender thing with the next 4 or 5.
Exactly.
Because any given week, it could be Burrow, it could be Jalen, it could be who am I not? Like there are some weeks I think CJ Stroud is unbelievable. Matthew Stafford has been fantastic the last few years. So I mean,
Justin Herbert have a week where he looks like a world beater.
Of
and
course.
honestly, the reason I left Lamar Jackson out of that group of elite for me, he's tendency to be average at best in big games.
Yeah.
And so for me to call you elite, you've got to do it in the biggest moments for me. Josh Allen
reminds
doesn't
me of
necessarily
Peyton
always.
like that.
Josh Allen doesn't always necessarily win, but if you look at his performances, you're not saying, "Oh, he came up short," or that's why they lost.
That's a good point. That's a good point. You know, it's weird. Lamar does remind me a little bit of like the first 6 Peyton Manning years, where he would be great, and then really struggle, or Phillip Rivers even in the playoffs. But you know, Mark Andrews dropped some passes and it's like you know.
Exactly. Oh, it's not that it's all on him at all. He's you would have put him in there in that group. It's not a big argument against it. Right. That's just my rationale while I've got it at those 2 so far.
Cool. See, I like that. I like, just like I am with Hall of Fame voting, especially in baseball, like I'm stricter. I want Hall of Fame to be the greatest players who ever played the game, not like a pitcher who pitched for 25 years and compiled 300 wins and was like in the Hall of Very Good for 15 seasons like that. I sometimes I think there should be a Hall of Very Good, because 30% of players in whether it's pro football is a little bit better. Baseball has really gotten to the point where it's like, come on, just build a Hall of Very Good if you're going to put these guys in.
well, I'll put it to you. I don't understand Hall of Fame voting in any sport. I hate it because I don't understand. In that I don't understand what makes a player not eligible one year, but not good enough one year, but now they're good enough. Right. Why, what doesn't matter one year doesn't matter, and then you also get into, sometimes I feel like writers and voters want to make themselves a story. And I feel like voting on their conscience, like they need to protect the game. Nobody asked them to protect the game, So I don't understand it. I don't get it. I like, I just don't, and it's like, I can't even say I can offer like an alternative. Hey, it should be like this. I don't know, I just don't get it.
Well, you know what I don't get in the same vein is the NFL top 100 voting. I'm like, how do you compare like the best left guard in the league to the best post safety?
Right.
How do you do that? I don't understand.
And
Lane Johnson's like the greatest offensive tackle of the last 10 years, and he's like outside the top 20 every year. I don't get it.
I don't get it, and I know, and Jeff, you talk to more players than either of us. Every once in a while a player might talk to me, and it's like. And it's based on their votes. And it's like, how much football are you watching outside of your team and the team your team is playing?
Right.
Like, if the Eagles are not on your schedule, how much Lane Johnson tape did you watch this season?
Exactly.
If who like if you're not playing them, or even if like if the Eagles aren't even the division, the NFC division, your AFC team is playing this year, how many Eagles games did you watch?
It's a great question. That's
so
why I'm out on lists. I don't care about lists, and I'm sort of out on Hall of Fames now. So
what else is there to do? It's like no more lists, no Hall of whoever you get is who you get. It's like, all right.
Well, luckily the summer has ended, so we don't have to deal with too many more lists for now. We can
actually watch the players play the games now.
Yeah,
that seems big. All you get this summer.
Imagine that.
But so, Chiefs last week, Rams coming up this week. The Rams defense, young, talented, athletic, a little bit light in the behind. Do you think they'll be able to adjust to deal with the Eagles' offensive line this time?
No. In short answer, no. I don't think they will. But well, I mean, listen,
that's a good description. That was a powerful description. I like that.
There were times last year, even they gave the Eagles a good game in the divisional round, and they were 13 yards away from winning the game. And Jared Verse backed up his trash talk. I mean, he's a good player.
Absolutely.
So if the Eagles aren't prolific, this is a good time for them to catch the Eagles because they really haven't figured out how to spring Saquon for some bigger runs. Which, by the way, is not like they asked Nick Sirianni, how do you get more explosive plays? And he said, oh, you do it in practice. I'm like, oh, you practice the explosive plays in practice? I don't think that's how it works. You practice your plays, right. You hope they work and become. It's not like, oh, Saquon, let's work on the 55-yard run now, or let's do some reverse hurdles here.
Execution, right. Get a little better with your blocking.
Of course. And if Dallas Goedert doesn't play, it becomes tougher because they really don't have a good blocking tight end. And I think that's a little bit part of the reason why you haven't seen him really spring one yet. And we'll see. Well, the Rams are vulnerable to it, but they also have some really good pass rushers. And they're not going to attack the Eagles the way Spagnuolo did. They're going to be different. But the way they did it last year in the divisional round remember the Eagles, if the Eagles didn't have a great running game, I mean, that's like saying, if I didn't have my hands, I couldn't hold anything. But they did a nice job against the passing game, and they put some pressure on Jalen Hurts and forced him to hold the ball and run around a little bit. So if they can tighten up the run defense, figure out a way to get a little larger in the ass, then they have a shot. And they played good defense so far.
I played good defense so far. Got 2 wins against the Texans and the Titans. So this is Texans and the Titans. And then once again, they're in that situation where they're a West Coast team having to travel to the East Coast and play a 1:00 game. So that's got to play a factor too, right?
You know what? I've done a lot of studies and a lot of stories on it, JB. You and I are men of a certain age. And when we were kids, that was a given. I think 65 to 70% the West Coast team would lose. If you go look at the stats, nowhere near that anymore. There was I think it was 3 years. It was Russell Wilson's last year in Seattle, where I think they had 4 East Coast 1:00 games and went like 3-1 or 4-0, something like that. I can go look and find it. But and then I just said the Raiders last year went to Baltimore week 2. And played a 1:00 game and came back from a 10-point deficit in the fourth quarter to win. It's just not the advantage it used to be. The data and stats all tell you that the winning clip for the East Coast team is a lot low. I don't think it's a negative one, but it's not like under 50% anymore. But like I said, it used to be 65 to 70. Now it's like a coin flip.
Well, it's got to be because of technology has changed. You're flying on planes that are built like houses now. Yep. You staying in
sleep studies, nutrition.
Yeah. They leave later now. They don't let the whole body adjustment clock thing work. They fly in on Saturday and play on Sunday.
So the Rams will get here Saturday, like Saturday afternoon.
If I believe that they will, yeah. If they're following their traditional thing, yeah.
That's crazy.
So no time for to really adjust to stay on your normal schedule.
I say it's crazy because I'm used to flying like Southwest or someplace where I'm sitting in a chair that's really like a book, and I'm uncomfortable and everything. But I guess if you're flying on chartered planes or whatever, or living the life, staying in the best hotels, not Motel 6 or anything. So I guess you got those good. Those good accommodations, you'll be all right.
I would think so. I mean, you got all the world-class accommodations and, sports science. That's the thing now.
No, you're right. You're right about that. All right. So we had questions. There were questions going into week 2. Some were answered, some were not. What is it from week 2 that you now want to see from week 3? Like what still interests you? Do you want to see more of, want to see less of?
Big plays for offense. I think big plays need to come back to this offense. Defensively, man, it's not a whole lot that you need. Obviously CB2 can be an issue. It was in the first game. and took a little bit of a break in the second game because both of the Chiefs' best receivers didn't play. But now you got Puka and Devontae Adams, and they're off to good starts. So I'm interested to see if Vic goes back to trying to travel Quinyon Mitchell on one of those two guys. And I honestly, it would have to be Devontae Adams because Nakua is a move Z kind of receiver, like Lamb. He's going to line up out at the Z. He's going to line up in the slot. You can't travel with guys because then you got guys moving all over the place. So I would imagine if he does do the shadow treatment, that you're going to see Quinyon Mitchell on Devontae Adams all game. But what does that mean for Adoree Jackson against Puka Nakua? Like we saw what it meant against CeeDee Lamb. CeeDee Lamb's best defender that day was his own hands.
So do you at some point expect Howie to address that position with something not on the roster?
I mean, I think we sort of have to go through the Jacorian Bennett experiment first if we're going to get there.
Okay.
And then if that's not working, yeah, I would think so. Last year, what did Devontae Maddox got? He got about 4 weeks,
right,
before Vic said, "All right, Coop, you're in there." So
that's enough.
We still got a couple of weeks to go before I think Vic even gets to Jacorian time.
Okay.
Maybe. I mean, I can't just say because he did it last year for 4 weeks, it's going to be this year.
Do you think any chance for Keely Ringo in there, or is that no? He's just not up to the task.
First of all, you didn't have to laugh like that, Geoff.
Let me explain to you why I laughed. We have a reputation on Inside the Birds for being very objective, analytical, and because of that, getting Eagles fans very mad at us because they only want to hear glowing things about their guys. So we've been saying for quite a while that Keely Ringo is a great athlete, went to Georgia, all that. But if you look, there's a lot of cornerbacks who are built like him, who are great athletes, who also struggle in coverage because when you're a 6'2", 205, 210 guy as opposed to 6 foot 180, right? Like it's just hard to throttle and flip your hips because you're stiff, because you're strong, you're big, right?
You're not as fluid in movement,
right. And that was his issue at Georgia. And I think that it was all on display against the Bengals. I mean, giving up the back shoulder to Chase was not the problem, right? That he does that there a lot. It was the swing pass that he was late to get there and then dove at the angle. And you could just tell he's not a fluid mover. And I don't think that's not a coachable trait, right? Like you can sort of compensate for a lack of abilities with brains. Like I think TJ Edwards was really good at that as a linebacker when he was with the Eagles. But in the corner, when you're asked to defend the greatest athletes in the world on the perimeter and you just don't have that fluidity, it's hard to compensate for. So that's the book. And with that, so we predicted that he would really have trouble becoming a starter for the Eagles and took a lot of heat for it. And lo and behold, he's now down to a third string corner. So
who gave you heat for that assessment?
Would you like to read our YouTube comments? I can go dig them up.
I mean, I can get it.
But was it Ringo's family?
Kid. No, he's a big athletic kid. He actually has good speed, the Georgia pedigree. At the same time, we had all of the Georgia dogs here.
No, I get it, and I'm not arguing with this assessment. It's not. But I found it hard to believe that there were that. I didn't realize that Keely Ringo had that big of a fan base.
Right, you're like he's not accomplished enough to have that big of a fan.
Right. That's why I asked the question about him. There were a lot of people talking about Keely Ringo, especially coming in this offseason, him versus Adoree Jackson for CB2. It's his time to step up, and there was a lot of talk like that. So I figured we just go ahead and get it out right now.
No, I get it. I didn't know that Ringo just had people like that getting his back. All right.
I think it's the Georgia thing.
No.
Yeah, and it's also the name. Like, even the Kobe Dean, when the Eagles drafted him in the third round, I mean, people were like, oh my God, this is the steal of the century. This is a fleecing of a Howie season. And it's like, no, he barely played as a rookie, right? The book was he was slight of frame, had dealt with a lot of injuries that didn't force him to miss games at Georgia, but beat his body up. The Georgia and Alabama players all get beat up in practice. And he was also on third down at Georgia, a blitzer, not a cover And now he's playing in a defense where they play predominantly zone and ask you to cover. So it didn't take until last year for Nakobe to really be like a major impact player. But if you would have told people, Eagles fans, as we did as a rookie, like just pause on your expectations. He's not what you guys might think he is. Oh man, the blowback that we got. Right. But the tape is the tape. It doesn't lie. If people are wrong, of course. Like Tom Brady went in the 6th round, so people are wrong. But like when you get enough people who watch his tape on a daily basis in college say these are the red flags, and that's why he's a 3rd rounder, then there's a reason for that. And it's not like people are just trying to smear somebody. It's just the reality of the situation. And that was the thing.
In my opinion, linebacker is a position that's a little bit easier to assess than a quarterback.
Probably they're in on every single play, and there's no handoff where you don't have to do anything. Like you have to do something every single play. That's true.
So in your interaction, when you're talking with people, when you're making these reports, when you're making these assessments, what do you think? What has gotten you probably the most blowback so far?
Oh, I mean, outside of Jalen Hurts is not the greatest quarterback that ever lived. Let's see, what have we gotten a lot? I mean, we've been doing it for 8 years now.
8 years, really?
Wow. Yeah, man. So every year there's like 2 or 3 guys that people fall in love with, and we're like, pause, and then Oh, I mean, we got a ton of blowback when they drafted Jordan Davis, and we said, hey, look, this guy's not a pass rusher. He's not a pass rusher. It doesn't matter that he ran a 4.6, and that's a straight line run. He's got to develop that part of his game. What are you talking about? They traded up to get him. You don't know anything. He's going to be great. He's going to move people left and right. Nah, that dude was getting moved left and right for 2 years before he finally, got his technique down. So I don't know. Maybe it's something about Georgia players where maybe we get like the Bulldog fan base who questions everything. But like it's just a natural, like there is and I don't want a fan to never not be a fan. You should rep your team as hard. But like this goes back to when I was working at the Fanatic, JB. And I remember when the Eagles traded for Dorial Green Beckham, and I'm on the radio that day, and I'm like, I don't know what you guys are expecting, but it was like how he pulled off another one. It's a miracle. It's great. He's a 2nd round pick. I'm like,
they were expecting
this guy can't play. Yeah, I'm like, why do you think that he just was giving up for Dennis Kelly? And of course, people are like, oh, well, because the Titans are stupid and they don't know anything. I'm like, oh, okay, that's what we're going with. And
Dorial Green Beckham tall, was not fast. A good player. They thought he was going to be the next Megatron.
You guys, I would love to dig up the hour to 2 hours that I spent that day taking calls, fighting with people who told me I was crazy and unrational and not real, and that Green Beckham was going to be an amazing Eagle because they wanted him to be, not because he was going, but because they wanted him to be.
I went to meet that fan who's mature enough to say, you know what? I tried to argue Geoff Mosher down on Dorial Green Beckham. I really thought that was going to be the guy. I understand, I try to encourage people to embrace their bad takes. I do. We all have.
Listen, I'm not immune to it. I embrace mine.
Exactly. I respect people who embrace their bad takes.
Yes.
I truly do.
I thought it was a terrible idea when the Eagles took Jalen Hurts in the 2nd round. It made no sense to me. Now I've seen the wrong of my ways. Yeah.
And in some ways, I still think it was a bad idea.
Jonesy, come on.
Here, simply because in the moment, the starting quarterback you just invested in was going to be completely undone by you drafting a 2nd round quarterback. Now, you ended up with the better player in hindsight.
Your position is they got lucky?
Right.
Fair.
Yeah. You didn't know Hurts was going to end up being this good. You didn't know Carson Wentz was going to fall apart the way he did.
Yes. So I will give you that. That is another argument that we once Hurts started to get good, it was like, oh, the Eagles had this plan from the start. I'm like, the hell they did not.
And that's why I look at it like it still wasn't necessarily a great move in my opinion.
Like the Eagles knew 3 years down the road, a totally different coach and play caller was going.
I chose to put my blind faith in Jalen Hurts because I got his predecessors so incredibly wrong. I was the one who said, how could you draft Carson Wentz when we got Sam Bradford here? Why don't we just get him Ezekiel Elliott and they'll be all right? That was me. I used this microphone to convey that to people, and
we've all got bad takes.
And that's why people get paid the big bucks. And I'm here on this podcast making absolutely no money, but I do have fun with it, though. You know, it is what it is. You know,
always a great time.
So when they brought it, so when they decided, hey, we might have to get rid of Carson Wentz and bring in Jalen Hurts, you know what? That makes sense to me. It didn't, but yeah, that makes sense to me.
Sure.
Okay.
Why not?
Well, sure. Why not? Okay.
We'll ignore a cornerback in the second round for the 30th straight year.
Exactly. Okay. I see what you're going here. I don't, but yes, I see what you're doing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And you see that face Jonesy is making? That's the face he made when I was sticking up for Sam Bradford and Ezekiel Elliott.
Oh man. Oh, Davion Taylor. That's another one that we were unfortunately right on, and people hated us for being right on it. And then when you look back on it, right? Mm-hmm. Like why for the irrational fan who told us we were crazy for saying that Davion Taylor was way overdrafted in the third round. And by the way, he's a great kid. It's not his fault. And he played like this off-ball hybrid linebacker, almost safety position at Colorado for 1 year. Had no very little high school football. It was like weird.
No high school football.
Yeah, no high school football.
It's a very unusual story with him.
Right. They picked him because he was one of those unbelievable athletes. And at that time, they were married to their analytics and athleticism. And everybody who we talked to said that we were like people who work for other teams were like, what are they thinking? They had like 6th round grades, priority free agent grades. The guy had not played a lot of football, would now be asked to play in a defense where he has to play like a linebacker, not a hybrid run around the field. Like at most, the upside on him was like, all right, put him as a dime linebacker where he can run around and cover a tight end or something like that because he can run real fast. But, you know, you try to point that out, and it was like, we got might as well set us on fire for having that.
But you have to remember, though, after Jordan Mailata, there was a brief period where we just expected to find
that diamond in the rough.
Sure. And if Taylor was a 7th round pick and not a 3rd round pick, I would have been like fine with like Mailata, right? Like a 3rd round pick on that dude. Wow.
Right.
Now, has there ever been the opposite? Have you ever had the exact opposite? Has there been a guy to come in and be like, man, I don't see it. I don't think that person's that good. You know, I don't necessarily see the team's attraction to this guy that then turns out to be a stud or be a player.
Yeah, I probably we don't get the quarterbacks who are 3rd stringers don't get a whole lot of reps in practice. I'd never. The whole Tanner McKee thing was mind boggling. Like he was not somebody. Let's shoot. I'm old enough. I'll tell you this: 2006-05 is my first year on the beat. 2006 is they bring in Jeff Garcia. I was like, man, this guy's shot. He's done. He is the worst practice quarterback I've ever seen. He doesn't throw to go through his progressions. He runs around the pocket. He does all this crazy stuff. And that's what he did in actual games too. But he was always connecting and finding receivers. And yeah, he never threw the ball deep because he didn't have an arm. But I mean, he won the division for the Eagles, right? It went 4-0 down the stretch. They beat 3 NFC East teams, got to the playoffs. They won the division that year. Then they won, I think, 2 games or 1 game. And if you would have asked me going into the season, and if Donovan gets hurt and Jeff Garcia has to be the quarterback, what is the upside for the Eagles? I would say their upside is they're going to have a top 3 pick in the next year. That's the upside. I completely missed that one.
Oh man. Well, look, man. Up against it with the time. Tell people how they can get in contact with you. Where can they find your work?
Yeah, man, I'm writing again at Philly Voice, and that's cool. As the deputy sports editor, I've been writing about all the teams, covering the Phillies on their postseason run, everything. So not just the Eagles, and of course, that's phillyvoice.com. And if you want just the Eagles analysis, it's Inside the Birds podcast. Myself, Adam Kaplan. We got Greg Cosell, Derek Gunn, Ray Didinger, Andrew DeCecco. We have an analytics expert, Sam Finkel. We have Quentin Michael and Jason Avant. Who make appearances on our platform. So we get you covered from every single angle.
That's like the dopest team in town right there.
I kind of think it is too.
That's like a
The
murderer's
All-Star.
row of a team right now. You know,
That's not a Hall of Very Good. That's a Hall of Fame.
That's a Hall of Fame. You
that is a Hall of Fame.
Those are the guys you need.
I mean, Ray Didinger is literally in the Hall of Fame, so I can say we
Mhm.
have a Hall of Fame lineup. So
there you go, Ray Diddy, Gunner. You know, got a font. Yeah, that's all right. You got a good team there, sir.
yeah, I'm proud of them. I'm proud. They're all great to work with. They're all great human beings. That's the best part of Inside the Birds is that our family is. They all have the identity. They're going to give you the honest critique. So all of them have been thrown under the bus, like me and Adam too, for their analysis.
Who throws Ray Diddy under the bus? Who throws Ray Diddy and Gunner under the bus? Who would do that?
I have the YouTube receipt. If you comment receipts, if you want to see
Be asking these questions like he hasn't lived in Philly forever.
Yeah. Like, are you not on social media? Like, because I envy you.
People are gonna jump on YouTube like John. You threw Gunner under the bus 2 weeks ago. You know.
Probably.
You know, it is what it is.
Hey, it's
Geoff.
all
Geoff, thank you, good brother. We appreciate you, man.
always great hanging out with you guys. Have a great one.
All
You
right.
too.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the one and only Geoff Mosher, man. Always a good get. Already the countdown to getting him back on the show next year has started. That's the one guy we can always count on come on the show with us every year.
Hey man,
You know,
he's responsible for us working together.
He is. He truly is. He's the person. If you want to blame somebody for Jonesy and Brown poisoning your airways every week for like 5 years,
Geoff Mosher,
Geoff Mosher and Eitan Shander. They put us two together. They said, hey, we ain't got nothing for you. You guys need to work with each other.
This podcast is a production of Best in the World Sports, a division of Definitive Visions Multimedia. To subscribe, download, and follow on social media, go to bitwsports.com. You're listening to Jonesy and Brown.